people of Ghana is your Nigerian girl pleasure, bringing you political news in our channel Acromatic. An urgent call for NDC elders to unite Prokwanidowu and carbon males. It will really help the image of Prof and the NDC. Please switch.
And what is this fight about Professor Mills? You know, the Professor Mills fight. I don't get it. Now, it looks like it's getting very bad, and important people must step in and bring their parties together. I'm referring to Madame Faustina Nelson, Kofi Totobi Kwache, Atoa Hoy. I think they should step in because both of the people fighting are important to Professor Mills. Of course, we're all in this country. We saw how much work Koko Anyidoho did for Professor Mills since 2006. I have a personal experience. I used to work for a company called GBS. I don't know whether some of you remember. At some point in 2006 or 7, I think it was, the DSTV lost their rights to show the English Premier League, the big matches in Ghana. There was another company called GBS, the orange people on Spintex Road. I used to work for that company, you know. So one day, a Saturday, I was at home when the company officers called me and said, "Boss, you have to come to the place." So I said, "Why?" They said, "Professor Mills is here." I said, "What? What's he doing there?" He said, "Well, he's at the car park. We don't know what to do. He's with Koko Anyidoho." So I dashed to the office and then I said, "You hold him, I'm coming." Then I got there and then Koko came up and said, "Paul, you're here." I said, yes. He said, "What is it?" He said, "Oh, Prof wants to watch the English Premier League and he's told that the DSTV don't have it anymore. So he's come here to buy a decoder." And I said, "Oh boy, former vice president, presidential candidate, please take him home. We'll bring the decoder and go." I went downstairs to shake Professor Mills' hand. Professor Mills was with only Koko Anyidoho. He wasn't with anybody. One person. He was presidential candidate. This is 2007. The next year he was elected president. He was with only Koko Anyidoho, only him, the two of them, just only the two of them. Saturday morning around 10 o'clock in the morning. 1 year before, he was already been elected NDC presidential candidate. 1 year before he was elected president. That's how simple it was. So nobody can take away the fact that Koko Anyidoho had sacrificed his life, his time, his energy, his brain. He started his life as a banker. He could have continued to do his banking and think of himself. But he dedicated his whole life to the career of Professor Mills. Professor Mills was losing elections. He was with him. Professor Mills won elections. He was with him. When Professor Mills lost elections, he was with him. When Professor Mills was fighting for primaries against J.J. Rawlings, against all these big people, Koko Anyidoho was with him.
This is an urgent call and should be looked into, as it is being known and said that Koko Anyidoho was always with past President Mills when he was even alive and when he was in power. Even when he lost the election, all these things should be put in place and NDC should look into it.
Much there. In Kuku Hill, every journalist knows that Koko Anyidoho is there. It's almost like he's there every day, he's there every minute, every hour. He was in Kuku Hill. Now we forget about Kuku Hill. It's now become a restaurant. I don't know why the NDC people have made it a restaurant, because that's a monument to the way in which Professor Mills won the campaign. Omanebo Ama has written a book. Congratulations to him, Doc. That's a very good effort. Fantastic. And I'm sure that in the book that Omanebo Ama has written, you'll find a lot of reference to Kuku Hill. Who was controlling Kuku Hill? Koko Anyidoho was the chief of staff at Kuku Hill. He was controlling the place. So, for a man like that who has demonstrated an obvious love for Professor Mills, and then his family, Cadman, everybody knows how Mills felt about Cadman. Mills was very grateful to his brother. He stopped his UN work or put it on hold, came to Ghana to support his brother's presidency. Cadman was the center point of many of the conflicts that were resolved. Cadman was the brain behind many of the good things that happened in the Mills administration. One of the most important things that happened in the Mills administration was the discovery of first oil, the drilling of first oil. Cadman was there, right there on the GMPC board, working with Atoa Hoy to make sure that things happen, and then Asafaje and the rest. So Cadman is important to Mills. Cadman is important to the Mills government. Cadman is important to the NDC. And Koko Anyidoho has sacrificed his life for Mills. Why should the two of them be tearing each other apart because Professor Mills has died? You have to give Koko Anyidoho his due. It is true, when the Asumdwe Park was run down, it was Koko Anyidoho who began the efforts to talk to the government, the opposite hostile government, to get them to do it. It is his advocacy that brought the Akufo-Addo government to fix Asumdwe Park. President Mahama was in office for 4 years. He didn't do Asumdwe Park. That's a blemish on President Mahama's record in terms of how he dealt with his predecessor. Nobody can change that. Koko Anyidoho is the one who revived that and turned it around. If he didn't do what he did yesterday, would they have had a place in Asumdwe Park to go and do anything? But you cannot also throw Cadman away. He's an important person to Professor Mills. So I'm calling on the elders of the NDC and the CPP family. You know, Professor Mills is both CPP and NDC. You know, Faustina Nelson, Atua Hoy, Totobi Kwache, is Madam Christina Makunu am still around. I mean, some of those people should gather together. Joshua Labi, Nana Sambru Butler. Yes, these are the Mills people. Sambru Butler, Kojo Bonsu. They should put themselves together and talk to Koko Ajidoho and bring him to Kadman and let them solve the problem. So we don't hear. We, the people outside, we shouldn't hear anything about these things. You know, it's not good at all. It really worries me because I met Professor Mills personally when he was president. I've told this story so many times. And he told me that I will make you know that Ghanaians didn't make a mistake because I had gone to, you know, say my things that Ghanaians had made a mistake. And he had heard. I was very embarrassed when the president told me that I will let you know that Ghanaians didn't make a mistake. He's a very nice man. And his memory should not be part of this fight and bickering, and people travel and they come to Asunje Park and they are threatening that they will vote for NDC again. And what is all that about? Please, NDC elders, I think that this goes beyond President Mahama. President Mahama is not the most elderly person in NDC. There are elders in NDC. Alhaji Mahama Idrisu, Betty Mold Idrisu, Dr. Obeda Samoa, Kwame Nahoy, Totobi Kwache, all the old guns who have gone. Those two, the former MPs, all the Mills people. Johnson, I said Nketa may be one of them, but now that he's party chairman, maybe you can leave him out and then put this thing together so that next year, another 24 July doesn't come with all this fracas and all that. We don't want that. We don't want that. So please, I should have done an NDC montage for Professor Mills. Unfortunately, I didn't have one, but may he continue to rest in eternal peace. One of the finest men that we have had in Ghana.
After 12 years of the death of past President Mills, so many things are still going on which NDC needs to correct now before it gets out of hand. That's what people are beginning to say so much about this urgent call and for NDC elders to make sure they unite these people. Please watch again.
Fight about Professor Mills, you know, the Professor Mills fight. I don't get it. Now it looks like it's getting very bad, and important people must step in and bring their parties together. I'm referring to Madam Faustina Nelson, Kofi Totobi Kwache, Atua Hoy. I think they should step in because both of the people fighting are important to Professor Mills. Of course, we're all in this country. We saw how much work Koko Anyidoho did for Professor Mills since 2006. I have a personal experience. I used to work for a company called GBS. I don't know whether some of you remember. At some point in 2006 or 7, I think it was, the DSTV lost their rights to show the English Premier League, the big matches in here. I said, what? What is he doing there? He said, well, he's at the car park. We don't know what to do. He's with Koko Anyidoho. So I dashed to the office and then I said, you hold him, I'm coming. Then I got there and then Koku came up and said, Paul, you're here. I said, yes. He said, I said, what is it? He said, oh, Prof wants to watch the English Premier League and he's told that the DSTV don't have it anymore. So he's come here to buy a decoder. And I said, oh boy, Koko Anyidoho, former vice president, presidential candidate, please take him home.
Please
we'll bring the decoder.
comment, follow. Put on notification bell so you get all our news one by one. Thanks, my people.